Hello, hello. Welcome to this beautiful session to deepen the work that we've been doing. The 3-day event, Sovereign, Sassy, and Self-Expressed. This is the pre-work for the Word of Mouth Woman Mastermind. And I believe this is the most important work for women with extraordinary vision and big old missions. And I am so honored that this work has chosen me. Does anyone else feel like the work that you get to do has been something that moves through you versus something that you go seeking out, like a certification you seek out, um, a degree you go and seek out, even a mentor, you may go and seek out the books you want to read. These are things you go and seek out. But all of that is the byproduct, the certifications, the books you read, the things you want to learn, the people you want to work with are actually secondary to the body of work that has chosen you to be the keeper of that body of work, to be the uh, word of mouth woman who gets to spread the good word. So I want to deepen the work for you. First, we want to understand what we did in Sovereign, Sassy, and Self-Expressed. Day one, we got really clear on our energy leaks. We have some folks entering this space. Welcome, welcome, Ingrid. I'm so happy to have you here. I am doing my little spiel, my little pre-spiel, my little download channeling transmission. And so I want to continue with that flow. Good morning. And then I'm gonna speak to you and hear directly from you in just a moment. So reiterating that this is the pre-work for the Word of Mouth Woman Mastermind. Becoming someone who can identify and seal energy leaks is going to make you someone who all of a sudden has time, freedom, has more time than you had before, has more energy, like literal energy. Like you wake up feeling refreshed versus waking up feeling tired. You wake up feeling like yesterday was a productive, artistic, flowing day versus yesterday you worked so hard that today you don't know if you have it in you. Each day builds on the next when you are in alignment with the energy practices that make you a word of mouth woman, that have you in your knowing that you are in the exact right place, that the things that are happening through you and for you, and there are next steps on the path. We are always moving forward in our lives, and that's really beautiful. So the Word of Mouth Women Mastermind is also around about mastery. It's about mastery versus simply learning. So on day two, we also set the standards for our life and our business. So if you do not have standards, another way to look at this, if you do not have a rhythm or business rituals, then it is going to be very difficult to resonate naturally and energetically with the kinds of clients and opportunities and speaking engagements that you desire to have. So the kinds of clients who pay in full, who don't need an extreme amount of hand-holding during the sales process. Of course, they have questions. They're going to book the calls. They're going to apply if you have an application, but they're not going to need you to split, the payments every month. They're just going to come, payment in hand, ready to buy. And of course, they may have a few questions, but they're also going through your sales process seamlessly and in full open-heartedness of like, what is next? How do I join? What do I need to be in alignment with to be able to work with you? Those kinds of clients, they are only going to resonate with people who hold a certain frequency, and that frequency comes from holding a certain standard in your life and in your business. So if your standards are wobbly, meaning that you let people talk to you in a certain kind of way, and you don't have a conversation or you don't, remove yourself from that situation, this is an energy leak showing up in reality. So we identified those energy leaks and we sealed them energetically so that the actual manifestation or form of that energy leak, maybe it's a toxic boss, maybe it's a family member who hears your boundaries but continues to try to cross them. Maybe um, it is a uh, community that doesn't really value you, but wants to have access to your gifts. Maybe it's certain people, certain potential clients that keep booking free calls, but never actually come and ask how they can pay you, but seemingly are trying to get as much for free as they can. If we do not identify that as a leak, it can, just exist in our field and our frequency starts to dim, our light starts to dim, and we may not even know why because we haven't identified it. So we identified them and the work starts energetically. So we sealed those energy leaks. We sealed them energetically. And now we get to pay attention and see what naturally shifts in our practical day to day. Maybe that toxic boss thinks twice about asking you to stay 5 extra hours or even 1 extra hour past your normal working hours. They just don't even ask. And that's the power of energy work. And then we take it a step further because it doesn't mean that you didn't do it right. If the universe is still going like, sending you people, like in my situation, sending you people that test that standard. In my situation, I made a standard to not stay in conversations that were uninteresting to me. I don't do small talk anymore, and I don't really want to talk about things that are derogatory towards women, gay people, and then I don't want to hear that words are just words. I don't believe that. Words carry a frequency, they carry an energy, and these derogatory words were used and then people were murdered right after them. So the N-word, any derogatory language towards women and derogatory language towards Black people and people of color, like whatever racist slur that is used to demean someone happens right before they are then hung, murdered, uh, done harmful things too. So why these words trigger me and are not just words is because of that fact. And a friend pointed that out to me so clearly. And that's the beauty of having reflections and mentors and people that we have in our world that are also holding our standards with us. And we together were like, no, we don't believe that words are just words. And I certainly don't believe that words are just words. That's why I help you become a word of mouth woman and wield the words that are going to attract people at a certain frequency so that your sales process isn't haggling, so that you don't need 9 months to convince someone to work with you. If you have your energy and your words aligned and at a higher caliber, making sense, and they are wielded in a way that helps people to understand the true value of working with you or giving you that raise or giving you that opportunity or buying your book or putting you on their podcast, all the things that we want to create, putting you on their stage, asking you to speak in their summit, all the things that we want to create naturally as word of mouth women. Words matter. And so in my scenario, I set this standard because I had just left a friend group that teased me and joked with me for years, derogatory statements and racist statements that were framed as jokes. And I let that. I let that leak occur to keep the peace, to be loved, to not disrupt, to not, and also like in my defense of not standing up to these people sooner, it just felt like a waste of time actually to keep um being like, hey, this isn't appropriate, la la la. And actually it is. There's another way. You can say, I don't speak like this. Three, 4 words. How many words is that? I don't talk about these things. And so, in my setting of this exact standard, I had the following day people that I love and adore start to use these words around me. And instead of like not loving them or cutting them off or anything like that, I put my headphones in. I said, this conversation is boring me. And I made a piece of content. And then I got up and left, not angrily, just like they now started talking to someone else that maybe I don't know why they were talking to someone else, but I mean, I had my headphones in. I wasn't going to engage in this conversation. So less words are sometimes all that is needed. So that was my test in the universe. Still love this human, and now they will not bring this up again. Or if they do, then I can say no again. And a third time's a charm. Like if they keep testing me, I can choose to direct my energy into people who naturally share my values, who also think that words carry weight and meaning and like to use words that lift people up and not words that degrade them. And so, it was quite a beautiful moment. So bringing it back to just because the universe is still sending those people to you, it's actually a test of that standard, and it has no indication that you are doing it wrong. It's more of like you're doing it right. It's the universe going like, okay, you're setting standards. Let's see. Let's see this leak sealed in action. Let's see this leak sealed in action. So I sealed the leak energetically. So did you. And then the next time that somebody came and brushed up against my boundary or my standard, it was very easy for me to be like, this is not a conversation that I engage in, put my headphones in and do my work in the world, create a piece of content, use my energy to create rather than consume and be a passerby or try to change people who haven't paid me, actually. Like, it is my work in the world to help people to change. So, am I going to give that for free? No, I'm going to choose to spend my time with people who already carry a certain frequency, and I am raising these people to that frequency and that standard naturally, or they will naturally fall away. And at that level, without animosity. Now, if you've been following my story and hearing me talk about, leaving a friend group, feeling like I exited a certain subsect of the community, very small community that I live in, then you know that there was some animosity at a certain level after 2 years. It's like, oh my goodness, there's going to be a certain level of grief or animosity or things that come up to work through, leaving family, leaving a chosen family, choosing yourself over the level that people are going to continue to play at if they're not going to raise, if you told them your boundaries and your standards. I mean, this doesn't work with children. You are responsible for children and like your friends and your family. are not children. And so we do not need to teach them and raise them. Our frequency will naturally raise them or they will fall away. And like I said, depending on the level of attachment, some grief might come up, some practical work, and some new habits might be needed to put in place. But do that energy work first and see if your body naturally responds differently or at least desires to. And then in day three, that's when we worked on your clear and distinct message. For anyone who showed up live, it was so beautiful because we did that work individually and personally. And this type of messaging work, when you can get somebody personally on your side, looking at your message, looking at your hooks for your content pieces, looking at your book titles, looking at the intro to your book, looking at your what is it called? Your proposal to get on podcasts, looking at your words to ensure that they are not only clear, but they're carrying the frequency that you are raising into. This is priceless. This is the work that I do with you all as I am guiding you to become word of mouth women, be guiding you to become someone where you are spoken about in rooms, spoken highly of, excuse me, in rooms that you are not even in. Oh, you got to check out Ingrid. Oh, you got to check this woman out. I've been in her work. I come to her classes. I read her book. I, used her product and this is how it's changed my life. Like all of these things come from first understanding your own energy and where you're heading and becoming that. It's an identity shift on a being level. And that's what we did over the 3 days. But the last day was very practical. So since you are here, in my word of mouth woman mastermind. Um, and if you're not, I'm going to put this part of the video up on YouTube and put this part of the video up where others can share into it. If you're not in my Word of Mouth Woman Mastermind yet, or my mentorship, or even the membership has DIY support on messaging. And oftentimes people understand the concept of messaging and then still, because they don't have someone raising the bar for them or helping them align word for word, the message still falls flat. And what I mean by that is it's not doing what you think it's going to do. And I can see these things before they get published. So I can see and sense and I feel for those of you who are like, but I love my message. And that's great. You got to love your message. And I can help you curate a message that you still love, that still sounds exactly like you. That's the only way I help you curate a message. You don't want to sound like me. You don't want to sound like ChatGPT, and you don't want to sound like every other guide on the internet. We want your message to smell, taste, look, and touch like you when they come across your message, even if your pet picture isn't there and it's a picture of your product or your book. It feels like you, it has the essence of you. And that is a process. And that's the process I take my people through. And so messaging techniques can get you to a certain level. But when you really, really want it to work, when you want it to work, and lead people to your specific book, your specific program, your specific product, your soul's offering, then it has to come from your soul and it has to also follow a certain flow, a certain rhythm, so that it's not soulless. Like when you use ChatGPT, it sounds so boring. Sometimes it's not saying anything. It has to also say something that initiates somebody joining you or offering you that opportunity or wanting you to speak at that networking event. And it's opportunities, money, clients, people referring to you starts to happen naturally, but it's not completely just because you prayed for it. It's also because you're doing the work, you're engaging in the mastermind, you're engaging in the lessons and the programs that I give all of my mastermind and mentorship clients, so that you can do the work in between our calls and our sessions, but we also do the work right in the sessions, which I'm gonna speak to my mastermind clients now so that we're doing some personal work. But I just want to make sure that I've touched on everything that I want to touch on before we um, sign off from the public version of this lesson. Um, yes, so how to join the mastermind, how to join the mastermind. So at first and at a certain price point, it's invite only. So I have sent a few invites to folks that I really, really want to work with. There's also a little fun thing I'm doing, which I'm assigning each client. I'm having 7 clients capped in the mastermind at any time. And I'm assigning a chakra for each client. We're going to co-create which chakra uh, each client in the mastermind is going to take on. And it might shift and all of that. And there is no better or worse chakra. It's just an interesting way to keep track. And I know where every single one of my mastermind clients is at, not just because I've assigned them a chakra, but because I have an insanely acute memory. Like I remember details and visions and photographs. I remember their charts. And so I didn't realize that not everyone had this gift, but this is a very specific gift that I carry. And this is why my clients get really great results because I know exactly where they were the last time we chatted and what they've got going on. And I memorize our conversations naturally. And maybe that's a gift that gets turned on for you as a word of mouth woman because it serves the work very, very well because it's not like I need tons of support to remember what my clients are working on. I really care. And so I'm really paying wild amounts of attention to them. And this is also why I don't have time for riffraff to memorize everything about everybody in my life, and there's a certain meeting. So just like you are going to learn how to set energetic boundaries so that your clients and your potential clients and the people who are in your life need to raise up to or naturally fall away. I've had clients fall away, and some of them not because they weren't meeting my standards. They've been working with me for years, and it is totally okay to graduate as well. But I did have clients downgrade into the membership, which is also very beautiful, which is only 1 call a month, but access to everything I've ever created. And then some clients upgrading because of the shift in frequency. And so I do want to say if things are falling away, part of the work that I do in the mastermind is helping you to grieve what needs to be grieved and not stay too long in the wallowing and keep moving forward. Because grief can turn into like density and can make us like really it can make us depressed, but it can also, because grief doesn't need to make us depressed. Grief is natural. Grief is natural in a loss or in a shift or in a transition. And there comes a point where some people turn grief into either victimization or grief into density or grief into depression. And we just don't do that in our world. We move through it with grace fully, grieving with grace. And it's good to have somebody with a master's degree in clinical psychology. I'm not just a coach, guiding you through that grief process so you don't get stuck in victimization or this part in your life. Grief comes in waves and it's meant to move through the body. So there's all sorts of beautiful work that we do at the mastermind and mentorship level because it is so high touch that I am meeting you exactly where you're at. So, those of you who are already in this mastermind, I also wanted to reveal to you that this round, your next months together with me, are all about mastery and refinement and the subtle 1 degree shifts. So, if you don't know how to market, if you haven't taken a course on launching, then you have the access to those programs inside your online learning portal at any level. And you may want to learn how to do that. If you're a DIYer and you love learning, like taking a course at that level is very beautiful. And that's what I did all last year. I really taught my ass off. And what I know to be true about everybody who's created results and sustained results in my programs, they focused on the subtle shifts. Their questions became refined. They brought questions. They didn't show up like last minute to stuff. Like they know where they are at. They know what they are working on. They're realigning on the path. They're coming to these calls to get the energetic transmissions to really take in what it is that I'm saying and what we are personally working on. And everyone in my mastermind gets personal attention in every single call if they want it, if they show up, and office hours in between the calls if they feel like they missed it or they're not understanding something or they want to deepen what we did or they want to hand in soul work for something that they're working on DIY. In between the calls. So I have office hours for all of that. So please, please, my invitation for anybody in the mastermind is to use every aspect of the mastermind. Really, come to the calls and go through the lessons in your own time, carve out time for that, and uh, use the office hours, check in, share wins. When you are fully immersed in the vortex of becoming a word of mouth woman, your results are guaranteed. You are guaranteeing your own success. I cannot guarantee anyone's success, especially if they are not engaged, they're not intentionally in it, they're, allowing other things to distract them. This is why we return to the energy sealing practices because it's okay if you've been allowing other things to distract you. Sometimes the distractions are priority distractions. We have many people that come to work with me with children. Your children are not a distraction, and you may need to set boundaries and working hours and become uninterruptible. And if one of them gets sick, I'm not saying that that's a distraction. I'm saying, how can we pick up, back up where we left off? Because sickness also, this too shall pass. Any challenge, anything you're experiencing in your life, this too shall pass. So I want to take a moment. I gotta flip my chickadee chicken. Hopefully, I'm not burning it. I gotta flip my little chickadee chicken and my potatoes. And I want you to tune in for the next 3 minutes. If you went through the 3 day process, tune in. If you didn't, and it's the first time that you are hearing about the 3 day sovereign, sassy, and self-express process, if you're um, following me publicly and you're not already in the mastermind, you can get the $22 version of this work, this full program for only $22 right now at the time of this recording, wherever the descriptions are, links in bios, links down there where the links exist. And if you are already in the mastermind and you didn't go through that work, the invitation is to sit for a moment and ask yourself why. What is the leak there? Because that's the leak. That's the leak. So ask yourself why. And if you did go through the work, then tune back in to what those leaks were and what the standards are that you're setting. And I will return in just a moment. Our work. My cat is meowing up a storm. All right. So those of us who are In the mastermind, we'll continue on. And those of you who have popped on for the free version of the mastermind, we normally start with a little transmission and then we oftentimes a little bit shorter than this, sometimes longer, depending on who's on and how much time I get to allot for each human that is in the space. But if you're joining, then we will certainly talk about this in the next call. And if you are doing the work on your own, then arrivederci and have so much fun.